Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Good evening, everyone, and good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the training at talk in our mental health awareness series. In today's talk, we will be looking at another intersection about life. As you can see in our flyer, it's going to be: is it uh, equality or equity? So, which would you vouch for? Which one would you pick when it comes to living life, especially when you are treating other people? Now, as you know, in Buddhist terms, we have a word called upekka, and in upekka, we know it's about equanimity, wherein which we are looking at us. Uh, it's kind of a interpreted way of looking at life. So we are uh, internalizing about how we are supposed to look at us, not picking on any extremes. But when we look at other people, when we externalizing things, then we are going to pick one of these. I mean, as the question suggests, as the topic suggests. But when you look at the Buddhist way of, viewing uh, equality and equity, so we have to go in a kind of a balance perspective. So, in my understanding, what we can conclude at the end of this discussion is that equity can be the higher version, I would say, the expanded version of uh, equality. So we will see how they have been defined by the society, especially different, you know, terms. Because the cliche is that equality and equity may seem having a difference. We're gonna sort of like figure it out in the first place. Okay, so what is equality? Now, equality simply means equal opportunities. Does that help us, especially improving our standards? Let's say I and you should not have two different treatments and we should have the same treatment. There's no choice about it. But the problem is we have differences. We have, I would say, different ways of uh, acquiring, I would say, uh, experiencing things. So somebody may question whether uh, equality could be the best choice to treat others. But there's something positive. The positive thing is that equal opportunities. I mean, you have the same opportunity, I have the same opportunity, everybody else has the same opportunity. I mean, there's no harm. There's no harm. That's so good. But the problem is when the same opportunities, when the equal opportunities are actually invested, uh, uh, given to each and every one, would that suffice the exact needs of everybody, right? So that is something to think about. On the other hand, equity means that everyone is provided with what they need to succeed. For example, I would say uh, you might want to get a certain service. I um, I might want the same service too, but I might want it in a different way, and you might want it a different way. So how about like catering to customizing uh, the service to both of us in the best ways that we both expect. So meeting my need and your need. So that might be more, I guess, working to all of us. That means rather than giving the same opportunity to everybody. I mean, opportunity wise, we should be given the same opportunity, but when somebody is giving the service to us, when somebody is offering, uh, I would say, the treatment, the help, whatever the thing to us, what if that they are really careful about the exact type of service, the exact type of thing, uh, according to the customized needs of everybody? That would really help everybody. So I wanted to sort of share with you a kind of a very famous photo about the difference. And I'm actually calling this from a website. Let's take a look. That, as you can see, that three of them, they can watch the match properly. Probably the same access that you can see that the tall guy has. So the tall guy and the child and the little one, they have the same access to the match. So I'm actually quoting this from interactioninstitute.org. And then this is where I found out the image. But I wanted to actually share with you how this actually looks like when it comes to uh, equality and equity. Now, you can see the primary difference here. Now, when it comes to equality, even though you're giving the same opportunity to three people, three individuals, but the individuals are not all the individuals have access to the same thing that you are trying to give. But if you are giving whatever they need, depending on their nature, depending on their bodies, depending on whatever their needs, then that will definitely suffice their needs. So that is equity. So this is kind of a very good example uh, to all of us in looking at equity can be a better version, but we are not saying that equality is bad. At least they are having access to, I would say, to the certain opportunity. But the problem is it's not enough for them to enjoy. If it's not enough for them to be a part of the event. So what I can say is that, as I said earlier, we have to give the same opportunity, like sameness to everybody, like the three benches. But the thing is, then we have to look at how it can help each one, everyone. So now in this case, the little one needs two benches. The child needs one, but the tall guy doesn't need a bench. So if you look at uh, the individual customized needs, depending on the situation, that might really help, uh, you know, uh, for different people. So that is why I'm trying to say that equity will be a better option, but we normally talk about equality. So equity is what we can actually sort of promote in the two words. So somebody may choose equity to the question, which would you vouch for? So they will definitely choose equity because that really uh, meets the needs of everybody in a certain given situation. So that's something to think about. Now, the other thing is that is coming along with this conversation is how to promote equity. Now, in order for us to promote equity, we need diversity. Now, diversity means that accepting the needs, accepting the differences of people. Now, in our society, we always would tend to look at everyone in a certain way. Even you look at a certain category of people and you look at certain uh, level of people, look at most of the aspects of life, we have a certain way of looking at it, but we don't actually think that we have to view them differently. Now, I have this, uh, you know, thinking when it comes to talking about people, good, bad people. So people can brand others to be they are bad people or they are good people. But what we can say is that we are differently good, we are differently bad, right? Not that they are bad, because people look at everybody else in the way that they want to look at them, right? Because it's different. There are other times we can use that thinking. Let's say if you feel the pain, then you understand that the pain, similar pain, can exist, arise in somebody else if same things happen to that person. So diversity is the bigger concept here to promote equity. Equity means that we believe that everyone is provided with what they need to succeed, right? So their needs may be different. So we have to look at what needs they have in order to see a uh, peaceful society. Now, this is again actually described in another term called social equity. So, in order for us to see a holistic or a peaceful society, then we have to see what needs different individuals have to, keep them, I would say, comfortable. I mean, good needs actually. Now the problem is we normally do not. I mean, not everybody. Some do not accept the concept of diversity. This is where we don't work towards the concept of equity. We might say equal opportunities, equal things should be given, but we sometimes don't know. Probably, oftentimes, don't know what they exactly want. That's why we need equity, not equality. So we have to believe that diversity exists and it is the perfect time for all of us to accept this thing and then to believe that there can be a society where equity can flourish. Now, on the other hand, this equality concept is mostly based on a misconception, as I said earlier, that everybody or we all have same needs. Yeah, we have basic needs, but depending on different individuals, we may have different needs. So they have to be addressed. So along the line, we also understand that equity is actually revolve around access and opportunity with the understanding that we each start with different pace. I would say we each start with different advantages and disadvantages. So we have to believe in these kind of things. Otherwise, we won't work towards equity. And equity is a process. That means it has to be a continuous process. It shouldn't actually stop. Like when it comes to equal opportunity, then somebody might think, okay, we have given opportunities to everybody, then society or the community should be happy. But equity is not like that. Equity is something that is continuously, that has to go continuously, flowing all the time. So we may need power, resources, and social responsibility because uh, there are a lot of people who are or who have been institutionalizing, I would say, who have been institutionally left out and then marginalized because of different historical reasons for a long time. So for those folks who have been institutionally left out and marginalized for different reasons that their needs have not been met, they really have to be focused in this discussion when it comes to equity. Now, they could be spiritual, religious, I would say different other dimensions of our society. They all have to be a part of this conversation. Otherwise, we will not, I would say, discuss the essence of this topic because we have to look at the contemporary or historically seen errors, especially mistakes that have been done, that have been actually happened to these folks. So this is kind of a basic definition about equality and equity. Now let's take a look at of what can we see equality and equity in Buddhist thought. Now, what is equality in Buddhism? Now, as I said earlier, the Buddhist thought goes as a mixture, I would say, as a combination, as a blend of these two. Now, as we can see in Buddhist teachings, Buddha always talk about that society has to be a place where everybody is treated well. Now, if you look at some of the ways that he talk about ethics, the Buddha says that we should not do anything that is not actually cherished by us because the pain is same even that is actually experienced by anybody, right? Remember the story that a group of children who were actually attacking uh, a rattlesnake on the road, and the rattlesnake was actually brutally beaten by the group of children. And then the Buddha asked a question. He actually noticed what's happening between the rattlesnake and the little ones. And he asked, what if that the rattlesnake, or I would say the same treatment that you are doing to rattlesnake happens on the other side? I mean, if you get the same treatment, would you be happy? And they said that, no, we wouldn't be happy. And then the Buddha says that never give any pain, anything that is not actually bearable by other side of the incident, the event. You should stop harassing this poor snake, right? So he was always bringing up this, I would say, empathy theory to understand the equality, right? So we should have the equality in terms of basic things, right? Access to everything, and I would say safety and all that, right? So that's one very good example where we look at equality. And also, he was very adamant about the caste problem at the time. Now, folks, if you have any questions about equality and equity in society and the Buddhist perspective, you can type in those questions here in the comments below, and I will get to them in the meantime during the discussion. So the caste problem, it was such a very big issue at the time. So Buddha was always talking about and then sort of criticizing within society that everybody should have the same opportunity, uh, be that a gender problem or be that a class problem. Everybody should be given. His thought was everybody should be given the same equal opportunity, right? So we can't even talk about equity without talking about equality because people don't understand. People might not even respect why we want to care about individuals' needs without talking about equal opportunity that everybody should be given. right? So in a conversation where we can at least promote an idea that everybody should be treated well, at least to an extent where their individual needs actually met. In that conversation, uh, the starting point could be that we have to at least think about equality towards everyone, right? So if one class of the society is treating the other, or the rest of the other classes, or these classes as they define, badly, that can affect. So in terms of class system, he always believed that nobody should be excommunicated, marginalized because of how they were born, and then the sort of work that they are doing. So that is another place where we can see equality. But it's a good practice, you know. Even before we talk about equity, we have to uh, definitely talk about equality in this way. On the other hand, there are many other examples. Now, five precepts, as I said earlier. Now, five precepts always work in a way that you care about others. That means you have this equality concept because you are not killing others because you understand that life is precious, uh, just as how you think about yourself, right? And you are not going to take what's not given because you know that whatever other people have in their life, which they have earned in hard ways, they are actually as important as you think about your stuff. You are not engaging in misbehavior, I would say, adultery, because you know how important your wife, your husband to you in your life, and you are not actually letting that happen to you, and then you don't like, or I would say, other people have that in their life. Okay, so it's equality. And then lying, and you don't like to lie to yourself. You don't like other people lie to you. So then why not thinking about others and yourself in the same equality mentality? And not having a sound mind where you can make decisions properly on the road uh, at all times is also a problem, because if you are not make that happening in your life, then others would not do the same to you too, right? So we look at equality. It's a golden rule, you know, in Christianity, in the subject of virtue. So it represents a kind of a very bigger version of equality. It's not bad. What about other things now? Even the spiritual nature. Now, in the Theravada Buddhist teachings, also in Mahayana, we understand that everybody has the same opportunity towards attaining nibbana. Although we know in Abhidhamma there are certain karmic issues, but everybody has the same opportunity. Now, in Mahayana, they talk about bodhicitta. Talk about bodhicitta, it means that everybody carries a bodhicitta, right? The problem is the struggle that everyone has as long as they really tap into their bodhicitta, you know, how they can actually leverage and then develop it during their lifetime. But that's not a problem because everyone has the potential of becoming a Buddha. I mean, that is in Mahayana, but in Theravada as well, nobody's excommunicated. Everyone has the same potential in becoming a liberated person. Equality. Gender. Now, gender is a very big topic in Buddhist teachings because Buddha is the first person who talk about women, especially women should be given the same opportunity. Now, compared to the Vedic society, where women are not even allowed to chant Vedic hymns, right? And then they are not actually part of the equality in their society. Buddha is the first one who talk about that women have the same potential. Sometimes they actually, their intellect can even even go actually higher than the other side of the gender, right? And he was actually giving the bhikkhuni ordination and appointing some of the key ladies in different designations of his sasana, right? So we can see the equality. There may be some issues, I mean, depending on society, but he made that happen. And what about other things like four agatis, Chanda, Dosa, Bhaya, Moha? Now, this is a kind of a very interesting place where we can discuss uh, equality. Now, Buddha clearly mentions that we should never be carried away by our desires. Desire has to be a desire, or desire should not carry us away. Desire should not take us over. Because if it happens, then we might not see this equality in many places. And dosa means, I would say, hatred. Bhaya means fear, and moha means delusion. So all these are actually triggers where we actually do not practice equality. So the opposite is that you are respecting, you are using your desire to make the right choice, do the right thing, and then you are creating a very equal society. Even if you can see the democracy that we can see in the Buddhist kingship, as you can see in India, there were different vassal kings and republicans, republic states. Uh, One of the states was, a Licchavian states. So this state has a lot of kings. They say around like 7,000 kings, but they all were ruling because they have this equality mentality. That means even equality can be a good trigger, good tool to practice in politics. Now, the flip side is a little bit interesting actually. Now, although we can see that equality is highly discussed in many places in the Buddhist teachings, we also have some paradoxical notions and about this perception. Now, paradoxical notion to this equality concept is karma. Now, everyone carries different karmas, right? Now, in Abhidhamma, we understand that depending on what karma you are carrying, even whether you can liberate or not, uh, will be decided in this life. So, karma is a big, I would say, change agent in our life. So, for example, if we even if we know that equal opportunities are really nice and then they are really creating bigger space for everyone, but paradoxically speaking, karma can sometimes work differently to everyone. Now, let's take one example. Now, I would say somebody may be rich, somebody may be poor, but it's not a very big difference because different people can be differently wealthy and then poor at different times. But there may be certain individuals who might think that I will be poor ever. I'll be this in this state forever. So in these situations, we know that karma can play a role, as we can see in Chulakamibanga Sutta in Majjhima Nikaya. There are some reasons why some people were bornly rich and poor. So in those situations, we can see that equality might not work in the way we expect. That is where we look at equity. Now, there are people who really need money and in economic support, financial support. Then somebody, whoever I mean, is responsible for that, or I would say even everybody of us can help in a certain way, right? So karma can be a changing thing. That's why we need to help each other uh, in the best possible way. That's kind of a concept that can come from equity. Because in equity, we know we have to see the customized approaches to different individuals. Now, even when we want to practice compassion, karuna, we may need this equity thinking. Now, loving kindness is the equal way of practicing, I would say, uh, the virtue called, the divine abode called, may everyone be well and happy. But when it comes to compassion, we are looking at everyone's needs differently, right? Now, that is why karuna is bit advanced. I would say it's a step ahead of uh, uh, metta, because we all can spread loving kindness regardless of who we know, who we don't know. But when it comes to karuna, we should understand what's going on with the other person, right? That's why it is something where we have to practice equity, right? So karuna practice comes under this equity concept, because we need to look at people differently. Even in the practice of karuna, somebody can have two aspects. One is empathy, uh, while the other one is karuna. Now, empathy means you empathize, you try to see you in others' shoes, right? But karuna is something that you are going to actually really help that particular person who is actually suffering, going through a bad time, right? So now you understand equity is a concept that goes beyond equality. But I don't condemn, I don't actually underscore equality, because equality is the starting point. But we should move towards equity, because only by understanding different needs of different folks, we will create the society more holistic and more welcoming and peaceful. If even one person's suffering is not heard very well by the relevant party, that will be a big problem to the society in a certain way. And what about a group of people? What about a community? If you can remember another very interesting example to equality that comes in good spousal relationships in one of the suttas. In one sutta, a couple asked from the Buddha, how can we be reborn as a couple in our next life? And the Buddha said, if you have equal saddha, equal trust, we call samasaddha. If you have samasila, equal virtue, if you have equal, I would say, generosity, samachaga, and if you have equal wisdom, samapanya, only you will be reborn together again. Now, this means equality affects even a spousal relationship. Let's say one partner has more faith, more trust, but the other partner has no that kind of a faith, that kind of a trust each other. One partner has a little bit of virtue, but while the other partner has no that much virtue. One partner has some level of generosity, liberal, I would say generous, but the other party is very greedy. One party has, I would say, one partner has, one spouse has some panya, wisdom, but the other party does not have that wisdom to that level. Then this couple is actually struggling, especially spiritually, not socially. I mean, they can struggle socially too. So the problem here is that equality is important. Even for a spousal relationship, even for a partnership, even for a boyfriend girlfriend kind of a relationship too. That means, although we see equality is important in a certain context, but it doesn't mean that we have to stop with equality. We have to go beyond equality to an extent where we talk about equity. So, what are the other places where we see equity is, I would say, something that is more important? Now, even if you look at liberation perspective, now we all have the equal talent, equal spiritual talent to practice something, but that doesn't say that we have this equity. In order for us to deepen, enhance our meditation practice, what do we want to do? We have to approach a meditation teacher, right? A meditation teacher is the only person who can help us uh, centralize or focus our own practice, right? Even though we have the equal opportunity to practice it, but our practice will not get accelerated or would not go in the right direction where we are supposed to be without a teacher, without a good instruction. That means we need what you call this equity kind of help. That means we need a customized help towards us, right? That is one other example, right? What are the other teachings where we can find our equality and equity in Buddhism? Now, even if you look at other places where we understand, uh, I would say, the concept of equanimity, right? Upekka. Now, this is something that we have to discuss in bit details. Now, metta has more equality. Karuna has more, I would say, equity, because you are trying to see the situation from a uh, customized perspective about the other person. And mudita also has this equity concept, because you are focusing on one person's success, or kind of a success of somebody. So you have to focus on it without keeping it as a kind of a commonplace thing. When it comes to upekka, you are creating a different, very balanced state. I would say in this stage, uh, or state of mind, what you are going to do is that you really understand what uh, equality and equity mean to your spiritual practice, because you understand that although I have metta, so much metta, but I need to practice karuna too. Even though I have metta and karuna, but it doesn't mean that I'm okay, but I have to also practice mudita. But still, my practice is not, I would say, replete or complete. This is where we understand, this is where you get to understand that there's something then after that, that is actually, you know, leading, or I would say, sort of supervising, sort of helping out to my practice. That is upekka. Now, upekka is a state of mind, but in upekka, what you are cultivating towards you is that you are trying to be balanced in your thinking. You are not wavering. Your perspective is very balanced, and you are very liberal. Only when you are liberal, only when you have a lot of upekka, that you can practice equity in a more comfortable way. Because then you understand that this particular person, A, has this issue, B has this issue, C has these needs. So you are specifically catering to these folks very well. That means equality, equity, and equanimity, all these are actually relevant concept, because these are actually really keeping us uh, good people. But as I said earlier in this, you know, photo, you can see again, these two concepts, although they are to be seen little differently, equality has the same opportunity, or same opportunities to treat people, but the problem is they are not meeting the individual needs. So that although you are giving the same opportunity to them, but they are not able to be a part of, or they are not able to fulfill their, plans or wishes. But on the other hand, if you can see equity, you can see that uh, the way that how the facilities have been given to these individuals are really meeting their needs. So, three people there, the tall guy doesn't have a bench. The child has one bench, and the little one has two benches to see the view from off the fence. That means that is how we have to think about the situation, people, individuals, so society. That is how we can actually create a very comfortable and a fulfilling society uh, in our life, especially in us and in other people too. Now, while looking at the picture, what struck me the most is that the way that how we have to look at the resources. Now, resources have to be, I would say, distributed in a way how we can maintain equity. Now, even if you look at what the Buddha talked about, what the Buddha actually uh, meant by resources, he always talked about that resources have to be distributed among the needy people, among the needy. Now, even when he wanted to give his Dhamma service, during his 45 years of time, we can actually just remember how he did that. Early morning, he was not doing a kind of a common service to everyone. Now, it is said that he always wanted to look at somebody, a particular individual, every morning out of his compassion, out of his great compassion, Mahakaruna, towards that person's success. Now, among the folks who actually he approached by, going far and then meeting, they were the individuals who needed him the most, right? Some people were going to die on the same day. Some people were not. They were going to actually meet some accidents. Some people they were going to mess up their life. Uh, Too much. So these were the occasions where he wanted to intervene and then help. I think this is a kind of way that he was showing us the equity, even though all they have equal opportunities for different things, but they are not individually catered. They are not given the individual needs. Uh, I would say their individual needs are not being met by the society. That's when he took an initiative to go see them and then to help them, right? Even the examples where he met Angulimala and the young guy called Chatta and and the girl called Pesakara, and all these incidents actually remind us that he wanted to individually help those people. That means he was customizing his services rather than not actually giving a Dhamma talk in the presence of many people, right? I mean, he took that initiative to go in person, right? Even Mattakundali's example, right? So equity is such important because we, after we actually made sure that everyone has the same equal opportunities, we should not stop that thinking. We have to go beyond that thinking. That means we have to practice, we have to develop thinking towards equity. Now, one of the very important concepts to develop equity is diversity and then inclusiveness. These are modern human rights kind of social kind of terms that are being used by many legal documents. Now, in diversity, as I said earlier, we have to believe that we are different, we are differently skilled, we are differently good, we are differently talented, we are differently nice, we are differently beautiful, pretty, handsome, all that. We are differently educated. We cannot say that you are not educated as I am. You are not pretty as I am, right? These are the ways that where people do not practice diversity. We have to believe in different beauty. We have to believe in different uh, talents. We have to believe in different skills. We have to believe in different individuals' capacities, capabilities. That is the way to practice equity. On the other hand, we should not actually brand anybody in the same way that we know that this is bad and these are the people who are doing the same bad thing, because people are differently bad, right? Now, this is also attached to the concept called perfection. We are perfectly imperfect, right? We never developed this kind of thinking, right? So that's why we had to look at uh, everyone differently. Everyone's talents differently, everyone's good differently, everyone's performance differently. That is how we create a very diversified, very interesting, very comfortable society. Do not ever think that other people should behave the way that you really want them to behave. I mean, if it is kind of a company rule, let that be. But if you really want the company or the kind of institution to take the next level pace, you have to respect this difference, these differences. And then inclusivity is the same thing. We have to uh, be able to provide the assistance and then the support that everyone needs in their different capacities. Okay, folks, and if you have any questions, please type in. I'll take 1 more minute for your questions. I don't see any questions so far, but I also wanted to share some other, I would say, kind of a summary about what we've been talking today. Dhamma folks, we've been talking today about equality and then equity, because we know that there is a huge, I would say, uh, there is a there is a misconception that equality is the best choice to all the services, but equity is the best. But we normally start with equality, that is even better than, and better than compared to better than inequality, or compared to inequality. So we always wanted to respect the commonality, that the common good that we had to do to other people, respect what they need, but specifically we had to go towards meeting, thinking their real needs, uh, because we are talking about Buddhism. We had to look at individuals, different individuals' path towards their achievement, their, I would say, liberation, their nibbana. Now, don't think that just listening to a Dhamma talk, just practicing a 1 day meditation, just going to a kind of a retreat, a couple of retreats, you're going to be done, because everyone is different. That's why the Buddha says that Pachattang Veditabu Vinyuhiti. So the Vinyus, the Panditas, the wise have to understand uh, differently, especially in their own understanding. So we are quite different. That's why even the same Dhamma talk has been help instrumental for different individuals to attain to different actually attainments, and not to attain uh, achievements as well, spiritual achievements as well. Okay, we have a question here. The Buddha Dharma take a step-by-step emphasis to show the ills of affinity and make gradual practice towards equanimity. Gradual practice. But the issue here is how we interpret the circumstances. Yes, we interpret circumstances differently. So our main emphasis today is that although equality is a good starting point, but we should not end up in equality, because we have to move towards equity to create a balanced, happy society. Because if you are not looking at everyone's different, uh, I would say, uh, life, I would say spiritual life or life, then we will not actually uh, be able to create a society or a community of practitioners where they are actually deepening themselves. Now, as I said earlier about meditation, now even though you practice meditation on your own, you might not, uh, I would say, deepen the practice because you are not meeting a good teacher. So a teacher will help you in a way that is more customized, right? So we need to cut. Somebody has to give that custom tailored advice to you when you want to practice meditation. So in the same way, we have to look at this customized way of helping people and individuals that can make their lives much better, both secular wise and transcendental wise. The Buddha's discovery brings us to introspect and break away all our views to see this equality for peace within and harmony to all. Yeah, I mean, that is how we're going to have this equality. But at the same time, if we want to practice karuna, we want to get into equity because we are specifically looking at different people's plight, pain, right, and what they need. So that's how we're going to look at it in a very comfortable way. So we've been talking about the practice of equality because we have to actually fundamentally we have to encourage everyone that everyone should be given the same facilities. I mean the basic needs. That doesn't say that all the facilities will suffice the needs of everybody, but we're going to start our thinking that way. But we have to move towards the individual needs of uh, different people, spiritually and secular wise. That way, we understand that society will be a better place. Society is a very, I would say, peaceful place for everyone to uh, play their own role at the same time become better individuals. And also, we talked about inequality, especially when it comes to the society that Buddha lived. You remember, the Buddha actually was living in a society where some individuals, like women, especially some gender issues, were actually uh, so much existing at that time. And Buddha clearly said that gender is not an issue to the spiritual attainment. At the same time, there were other folks, like in today's world, like LGBTQ people, and Buddha always reminded, alerted to people that we should not excommunicate these people. We have to respect. We have to understand that they also have the talents. There will be some karmic issues, but the thing is that we have to accept everyone. Do not, uh, deny. Uh, I would say the peace, or I would say the existence, coexistence of these individuals, even the animals. Now, this is another very interesting side. Uh, Buddha even talked about animals. Animals should be given the same trust, protection. If you look at some of the suttas like Chakravarti Sihanada Sutta, he always talked about the protection to animals. That's a kind of a responsibility of a government as well. We all have responsibilities towards that. Also environment, right? So all these have roles uh, in regard to a peaceful, happy society. So these will not abruptly happen unless we don't put some effort into that. So let's be responsible. Let's do our own part. I mean, we don't want to blame anybody, the government or whoever. Let's play our part. Let's do our part. Everybody will do their part. The society and the whole world will be a better place. Okay, so let's move on to the transference of merits. I think there are no questions at this point. May all the good karmas that we've been collecting in different ways to this extent be transferred to all the departed relatives who passed away in the name of all of us. Uh, if the departed individuals were born or are living in a realm where they are having excruciating pains, may these good karmas be able to help them out and then trans transition into a better place. If they are in a better place, may they be able to improve their life standards and be able to attain the supreme bliss of nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Idam me nyati nang hontu sugita hontu nyatiyu. Idam me nyati nang hontu sukita hontu nyatiyu. Idam me nyati nang hontu sukita hontu nyatiyu. May all the good karmas be shared by all the devas and nagas. Call them Akasatta Jabummata. All the terrestrial and aerial sky living Deva. Deva, Naga, Mahitika. Deva means deities, Naga means serpents. These are not actually snakes that we see in jungle, forests, for powerful beings, these Nagas. And then Mahitika, so magnificent non-humans. So may all these magnificent beings be able to share all this good karma. May they protect all of you, your families, your mother, father, your wife, your husband, your children, your grandparents, your grandchildren. May all of them be protected by the deities, Nagas, Devas, Nagas, and Mahitikas. May they be able to give you good health, protection, safety, prosperity, everything in their life coming along. May the Devas, Nagas, and Mahitikas also be able to be happy and well and happy and be able to attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Ittavata cha ammihi samvitang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Akasattha च बुम्मट्ठा देवानागा महिन्दिका पुण्यन्तं अनुमोदित्वा चिरं रक्षन्तु लोकशासनं चिरं रक्षन्तु देशनं चिरं रक्षन्तु मां paranti. Finally, let's make our great wish. May all the good karmas we've been accumulating since the beginning of this talk be able to uh, help all of us to attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Now I'm going to actually bless you with a couple more stanzas. Please receive the blessings. Abhivadan siris nichang badha prachayino chataru dhamma vadhanti ayuvano sukhang balang ayurarogya sampatti sakha sampatti mevacha ato nibbana sampatti iminati samichatu. So good night and have a good day for those folks who joined from Asia. We'll see you in another episode, maybe an interview, maybe Monday talk again. Thank you. Have a good day.